So everyone who couldn't make it today can watch the recording later.
Okay.
And yeah, so today we'll be finishing up chapter 5. So for sure, after this first semester of Japanese study at any university, really complete. Yes.
Including
Um,
week.
yeah. So today we are not going to have a test. Actually, usually I do put one in like on the second. Yeah, it's kind of a pattern that emerged, but I really didn't think about it like as a plan. But it happened so that on the second lesson for chapter, I think that's when I kind of did a test. So no test today.
We
Actually, actually, there might be one little quiz question out of the blue. But
did my best.
はい、頑張ってくださいな。Okay, so lesson 11. So there was a little bit of homework. Thank you also for putting your homework for Discord in the Discord channel. That was great. Um,
I don't know
put
if I
some.
got it right, but I took a good crack at it, and I think it's
Oh
okay.
yeah, it was very good. I already put some notes on it. There was minor things. One thing that I noticed, for example, for ocean, right?
I
Um,
didn't know that
you
word.
use Kaio, right? Um, Actually, Genki introduced Umi as sea, but it can also mean ocean, as we will see when we finish the remaining dialogues for Okinawa Yoko. And then as far as the grammar points go, there are really just two grammar points to finish up with. We already started with the adjectives last week for the non-past. And this week we are looking at how to conjugate the adjectives, the e adjectives and the na adjectives into past affirmative and past negative. We already discovered, due to the example that I gave for the na adjectives, that we already know how to conjugate na adjectives in the past affirmative. It's going to be just a little bit more complicated or not really complicated, but there's, I guess, new rules when it comes to conjugation in general. But um, once you learn those rules, we're going to have some exercises to apply them. We'll also look at counting, right? We already discovered that there are different counters, for example, for people and small animals. And this chapter has also examples for t-shirts, actually, or sheets in general. And then finally, we're gonna close today's lesson out with a couple of more kanji for actually chapter 6. We already started on those. There's a few less than last week, so but we're gonna cover a few more compound kanji because as we grow our knowledge of kanji, we now can combine them into more complex kanji as well. So, but before we actually start, remember how to say today is the 31st of January.
I'll take a. I'll try it out. I think it's. I remember the sequence, which is year, month, day. So
Yeah,
if I was going to try to say it, I would say kyo wa. Um,
January.
oh yeah, wait. I have to say January 1st.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, yeah. You don't have to mention the year. So
Oh,
mhm.
kyo wa. Actually, I don't remember the word for January.
Mhm. So we have our little helper. Let's see. There it is. So page 127, 127ページ. It's really a site that I recommend to bookmark a
Okay.
page. And there we have on the months Ichigatsu for January. Right? We know Tsuki, moon, has a couple of different readings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Depending on because 1 month ago would be Ichigetsu Mae, right? But the month January is just Ichigatsu.
So 今日は1月、
Mhm.
30日、1、
Mhm.
2021?
Yeah. Yeah. Just 今日は1月31 and then 日です。That's all. Hi. That is okay. And talking about dates, so there is one more important date, actually, which is January. Sorry, which is I can say it in Japanese. It's 12月5日. What is 12月5日?
Well, 12月, I think it's December.
Yeah, 12月 is December, and then 5日.
5日。Is that a day?
It is, yeah. It's one of the irregular readings of one of the first days within the month.
Okay. Oh, it's the 5th. 5日.
Exactly. So on December 5th, fingers crossed, there will be the Nihongo no Yokushiken, which is the Japanese language proficiency test, also known as the JLPT, which has 5 different levels. And what I hope, if you are interested, there are 5 different levels. So N5 is the easiest level. That would be, I think, a good kind of test to take. Of course, it's not mandatory. It also only really covers a certain type of, I guess, Japanese language knowledge, right? So you're not being asked to speak, you're not asked to produce anything, right?
Oh, it's like all academic.
It's actually not necessarily, but it's actually much simpler even than that. It is multiple choice, but it does have a very high failure rate. So I think among all levels, like roughly it evens out to only like 33% of all test takers pass. So it's not that simple, but I think continue with this pace, finishing up Genki 1, and then by then probably also Genki 2, and then maybe some additional studies. I think everyone would be at a great place to take and pass the N5, which is just something to keep in mind.
You're saying all of Genki 1 is encompassed in the N5?
No. N5 and then also Genki 2, right? And then yeah. So well, with Genki 1 and Genki 2, you already know, I think you're roughly probably at the N4 level, but there's a little bit more. And I've never taken the N5 or N4, so I actually don't know too much about it. When I started learning, it's like, oh yeah, I can take N5. And I was like, figured out, it's like, oh yeah, this is going to be too easy. So I was like, N4, and then like just the month or two, I decided, you know what, I'm just going to do the N3 and somehow passed, which I think is just because I had a lot more kanji knowledge than was required at that level or was typical at that level. And I think that helped me out a lot, even if I didn't understand like the actual words.
So you say 5 is the highest tier? I thought it was the lowest one.
N1 is the highest tier. So N5
Um,
N5 is the lowest one. Yeah, it starts so counting kind of like the Q levels in Budo, right? So you start with the higher Q levels in like judo, karate, etc. Right? Technically, even in jujitsu as well, right? But nobody refers to them as such. Hey, yeah. So this is number 5. And just to give you an idea, and that kind of also goes into last week's kanji studies. So what you'll find here is essentially a sentence like that, right? So over here, this one here, and this kanji, right? You have to identify the correct reading out of those 4 choices.
oh, based on the context. So you have to memorize both interpretations then.
Well, sometimes. So why don't we look at this? So can you read the sentence?
Yeah, it says Shikaku ni, I think it's Kawa Yama. It's Yama ga arimasu.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you don't even have to know what it is, but it's correct. It is Yama, right? So
Yeah.
we know the kunyomi reading from the kanji. This is Yama, right? We know also onyomi reading like sun, etc. But this kanji by itself is by itself right now. Kawa, we also know Kawa, right? But Kawa looks more like this, which is river, right?
Yeah, I mixed the two up because of the surname.
Mm-hmm. Ike is actually pond. I don't remember how to write the kanji. And umi we also have in the book, which is ocean or sea, right? So this is a very simple example right now. Sometimes it gets a little bit trickier, but I think at this level probably it's pretty straightforward. And so there are like 3 different essentially sections. This is typically in section 1. A second section would be more for reading comprehension, and a third section consists of listening exercises. But everything is multiple choice as well. So, yep,
Yeah, that'd be a cool
yeah,
thing to accomplish. I don't know.
yeah.
Is it worth? Is it like cool to say you passed the
I've
N5?
personally, well, I think I mean we see at what level we are all as a group by then, right? So I guess N5, yeah, it's one step in the road, on the road to mastery, I would say, right? So with the N5 level, you cannot really do anything, right? Um, Work wise, if Japanese language proficiency is required, if you were to work in a Japanese company, for example, if they do require Japanese language, then like I would say the N3 is probably the lowest. If you actually have to like converse, N2 is more likely. And some universities also have requirements if you take Japanese courses, or sorry, courses in Japanese on an N2 level, right? So I think to answer your question in your context, it probably does not really matter that much, but depending how you approach tests, official exams like that, it might help aid you in your studies. So I just want to point it out there. Cool. All right, so let's look at the homework. So we had quite a bit of homework, right? So adjective conjugation, we covered the non-past formal, right? So there are really no surprises, maybe except for number 6, but let's go over them. So we have large, right, which is oki, right? You also very well put this kanji in for daisuki and daikirai in the homework, right? So it's the same kanji. Here, oki In the non-passive affirmative, it's oki des. Non-passive negative, oki kunai des. Expensive.
Question about non-past for affirmative. That just means present, right?
Yes, it does mean present, and the book actually says present, right? But it also means, as we discussed a couple of lessons ago, it also is essentially future, right? So in Japanese, there's really
Both?
just two. Yeah, so there's really just two forms. There's the non-past and the present, because Genki will not tell you anything about future specifically in grammar terms, because there's really no such thing. There's only the non-past and the past. And on the context, based on the context, more, I guess, signaling words will determine if something is happening out of habit, for example, or it's a future event, right? We use the must form for verbs actually often like that. So yeah, so non-past affirmative or present affirmative, we can also call it that. I'll try to stick to non-past here because that really, I think, explains the grammar structure more clearly. So for expensive, we have takai, takai desu, takakunai desu, frightening, kawaii, kawaii desu, kawakunai desu, interesting, omoshiroi, omoshiroi desu, omoshirokunai desu, old, furui, furui desu, furukunai desu. And good, which is irregular because it really comes from yoi, right? So we have e and e des, but for anything else, we use the other dictionary form yoi. So that means that we have in the non-past negative yokunai desu.
So would it be incorrect to say yoi for dictionary form?
It's not. It's not wrong, right? E is the colloquial version, and there are instances where you also use yoi for, I guess, Genki purposes and more natural contemporary speech. But we would use E.
Okay.
Mhm. Right. Okay, moving on. Next, we have had our non-adjectives also on the same page, right? So here, for dictionary form, whether you put the na in there or not, it's fine, right? Doesn't really matter. So quiet, we have shizuka, na, right? Because it's a non-adjective. So just by itself, something is quiet or it is quiet, shizuka desu, right? Not quite, Shizuka janai desu. And then also we, of course, have the other alternatives for janai desu, right? Dewa arimasen, etc. Dewa nai, and so on and so on. Beautiful, also clean. Kire na, kire desu, kire janai desu. Healthy, genki na, genki desu, genki janai desu, right? Also has more often, depending on context, genki also, of course, means energetic, lively kind of thing, or for people, right? Fond of, we had a whole, we know ski had a different grammar point on that, but it is just an adjective, really. So skina, ski des, ski janaides, disgusted, kirai na, kirai des, kirai janaides, and lively, as for example, a city is lively. We have nigiyaka na, nigiyaka des, and nigiyaka janai des.
Can you explain the na real quick? Is it just implied? The reason why it's an a?
So it is a na adjective, right? So we have shizuka na. And the na comes into place when we have, for example, let me move you around a little bit there. When we when the adjective modifies a noun, right? For example, Shizuka na machi desu. It is a quiet town, right? Or just quiet town, Shizuka na machi. But na falls away if you just put it in by itself, right? So Shizuka, actually the to make a complete sentence, and this is not covered in Genki yet. I think it'll come later, maybe Genki 2. I'm not sure. Probably earlier. But so for e adjectives, right? We know, for example, it is expensive. To say that formally, we say takai desu, right? So the dictionary form is always takai, and then we just add the copula. To say that informally, we just say takai, like expensive, right? For na adjectives, if you want to say this is something is quiet, right? Formally, we say shizuka desu, but informally, we cannot just say shizuka. We also don't say shizuka na, we actually say shizuka da, because da is the informal copula, which kind of needs to be added at the end. So that is kind of why the na more or less is optional, and some dictionaries have them in there with the na in the adjective, and some don't, because na also often act as nouns, right? So shizuka da is an example for da, like gakusei da, gakusei desu, right? It's the same kind of concept, gakusei being a noun, but it also has some other forms as well. So that's why, for these purposes, it is optional to put them in a dictionary form here, because the important part is knowing how to use them. Hi. Okay, so we had page 51, number 2. This watch is expensive.
この時計は高いです。
Very good. この時計は高いです. This coffee is not delicious.
このコーヒーは美味しい。Hold on. 美味しくないですよ。Yeah.
Nice. I like the you at the end.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's good. Very good. Professor Yamashita is energetic.
山下先生は元気です。
Very good. The weather is not good.
天気が良くないです。
Yeah, tenki wa yokonai desu.
Oh, is
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, for now, let's stick with the wa.
I don't know when to use wa. Maybe.
Yeah. Right. That is going to be interesting going forward. But right now it's wa. Right. The topic is the weather. As for the weather, it is not good. Right.
Okay.
So ga we use right now in very specific circumstances. When we introduce a new topic, like the weather, for example, we use the topic particle wa. So tenki wa yukonai desu. I will not be free tomorrow.
明日私はかよくないです。Is that right?
Kayokonai desu?
Yeah.
Huh?
I have to look it up because I don't really know the verb for or the adjective for like available.
So desu ka? Let's look. There is a certain na adjective in the lesson 5 vocabulary list. So if we look at page 131, let's see. Yeah, the last one in the end.
I see it.
The last one, himana, right? Not busy, free time. So that's the one that we are looking for. So how would you do the sentence using himana?
Not busy. Okay, so this would be 明日私は暇 It's not busy, right? No.
Not
Watashi
busy.
hima desu.
Hima desu? Oh, sorry. Sorry. It's not busy. It is not free.
Free. So
hima is also free, right? So not free is
oh, I see what you're saying. So I have to negate the adjective. So that would
correct.
be hima yokunai desu.
Why yokunai? Because yokunai is just the negative of good, right?
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Because I have to negate it using So it'd be ashita watashi wa hima janai desu.
Very good. Ashita watashi wa hima janai desu. Very good. Hi. Next we have page 54. Donna jitensha desu ka?
Sorry. The Are you looking at exercise 1?
Yes. 54-1. Hey, donna jitensha desu ka?
Furui jitensha desu.
Hi,いいです。どんな街ですか?
What does this say? I can't even read my own handwriting. I think it says. I always say quiet again. It's Shizuka Shizuka Machi desu.
Shizuka namachi desu.
Oh, so this would be the case when you add the na.
Yeah, because the adjective modifies the noun directly, right? So it comes before the noun. That's why we have Shizuka namachi.
The adjective modifies the noun, and so that's the reason why you add the na.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, I got
next. It. Nice. Next we have Donna hito desu ka?
Kawaii hito desu.
Yeah. I thought it was very funny as well. Yeah, let me. Sorry, I'm trying to get the dot right here. There we go. I don't know why my program sometimes is doing that. Let's see. 1 second. There we go. This dot, the period wasn't right. Okay. どんな家ですか?
That one is J E A E A desu.
もう一度お願いします。Couldn't hear.
Is kirei na adjective? Oh, it is. Kirei na ii desu.
Hi. Very good. Kirei na ie desu. Very good. Hi. Next on the same page, I met a kind person.
I'm not sure if I got right, but I think it's well, what I wrote down was hito yoi ni ata.
Okay. I like that you use ni atta, which is actually the informal version of ao, the past, right? And especially using ni there. Kind, right? We know, and again, all of these exercises can be solved just using the vocabulary list. So on page 130, because you said hito yoi, right? What you might have wanted to say is I hito, right? Because the I adjective modifies the noun, or yoi hito, right? But I hito.
Oh.
However, let me. Okay, so on the e-adjectives list, the fourth one from the bottom, we have yasashi, which can either mean easy, like the homework was easy, but we can also say yasashi hito, and that means then a kind person. So it's yasashi hito ni aimashita. Right? We are trying to use formal speech right now. Atta is fine too, right? For informal, for formal, using the must form, it's aimashita. Hi, 2番. I bought delicious fruit.
Okay, so kidam.
First, what's delicious?
Oishi.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So kudamono no oishi kaimashita.
Close. I understand what you want to say, but here again, oishi is the adjective that modifies the noun, right? So it's delicious fruit. It's actually the same order here right now, right? So oishi, the adjective, kudamono, the noun for fruit. And then let's not forget the particle. Using kau to buy, right? We use the particle o. So the whole sentence would be oishi kudamono o kaemashita.
Okay, I see.
Hi. Next one, we have, I read an interesting book last week.
Okay, so 先週、私は本面白いを読みました。
Almost. Again, interesting book. What's...
Oh, right, because I'm flipping the order. So I think it's 先週私は面白い and then that's the E verb, or sorry, E adjective. 面白い本を読みました。
Very good, very good. Exactly. 先週面白い本を読みました. Perfect. Okay. Next we have page 55. You submitted via Discord. I put my comments on that as well. So next, page 56, Roman numeral 2. Let's wait for the bus.
バスを待ちましたよ。待ちましょう。
Hi, busを待ちましょう. Very good. Let's go out together.
一緒に一緒にしましょう。
That's kind of like let's do it together.
I don't know how to say this one.
We actually had it. Let me flip cameras real quick. I'm gonna put it on because actually, okay, we didn't have it last week. We have the vocabulary for it, which is dekakeru. Actually, you know what? It's going to take a little longer, but we're going to go back to it probably when it's more time. So let me just show it here. 一緒に出かけましょう. So this kanji we'll be learning on later today as well. But the verb is dekakeru, which is a ichidan doshi. So what Genki calls a ru verb. So dekakeru, dekakemasu, dekakemashou. So that means let's go out together. Yeah, I remember Eli-san pulled it out all of a sudden, like a few lessons ago. I was like, we haven't covered this yet. But he did it anyway, so it was good. Hey, let's take pictures here.
ここで、写真を撮りましょう。
Perfect. ここで写真を撮りましょう. Very good.
Wow.
Super good use of the particle de, place of action. Nice.
I'm really proud of that one. Yeah, because I almost heard your voice. It's like, blah, blah, de. And I was like, oh, there it is.
Very good. Very good. 4番. Shall we watch this movie tonight?
この家が、oh no, この家が, I don't know why I have a ga in there, but I'm just going to keep it.
You probably means この映画, this movie, right? この
Oh,
映
right,
画.
it's part of the noun. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, so この家がを見ましょうか?
Yeah, right? 今晩, like tonight. この映画を見ましょうか?
Nice. Okay.
はい. And 5番. This homework is difficult. Shall we ask our teacher?
これ宿題は難しい。先生に聞きましょうか?
Yeah, so this one is a little bit different, more difficult, right? So for this homework, we don't say kore, but kono shukudai, right? Because if you just would say this without a noun, that would be kore. But here we say this homework, right? So in a way, it's similar to the use of adjectives just before the noun, in that kono just means this, and homework is shukudai. So that's why we use kono shukudai, right? Wa musukashi desu. And you can, ask your classmate, for example, you can ask kono shukudai wa, or you can make the statement, kono shukudai wa muzukashi, right? The problem now arises that we don't really know how to informally say, shall we ask our teacher? Informally, right? Because the masho ka form is kind of requires that you stick to the same politeness levels in other instances as well. So you follow up your e adjectives like muzukashi with the copula des, right? So kono shukudai wa muzukashi desu, and then sensei ni kikimashou ka? Hai. Very good.
Doesn't that mean let's listen to the teacher?
Yes, that would be sensei o kikimashou ka?
So how does the ni change it?
Because you are listening to the teacher and you're not listening. Sorry, you're. So two is the right one, like, but here it is the directional, using the ni particle here, right, which is different than the o particle. So I guess let me go with the easy answer. Page 131, vocabulary list. We have kiku, right? Which is, you're right, to listen, to hear, right? In combination with the o particle, like we know ongaku o kiku, like to listen to music, right? But here it is an example, person ni, and that means to ask. Yeah. We'll pick that question up again when we look at other forms of or other uses of the ni particle, especially when it comes to passive, which is not really passive. Yeah. Right now, Please forgive me with my easy explanation. It's in a vocabulary list. Okay, so page 138, Roman numeral 1. This is kanji that you can use. Genki desu ka? Kyou wa ii tenki desu ne. Toko no hito wa Yamakawa-san desu. Onna no hito wa Yamada-san desu. Watashi wa kino. We know the second kanji, of course, but we haven't learned the first kanji here to get yet. But together it's kino, right? Kawa ni ikimashita, we know that. Pizza o tabemashita, kohi o nomimashita, uchi de terebi o mimashita. So we almost know all of the kanji of all of those sentences at this point, which was pretty awesome. Right, so kino we can hopefully read, but we haven't really learned how to write that yet. Okay, so page 138, Roman numeral 2. I am now in Japan. Ima watashi wa Nihon ni imasu. Mr. Tanaka is fine. Mr. Yamakawa is not fine. So because this is in, I would actually say it differently. So I wouldn't actually use Genki, but since it's in the vocabulary, in the kanji section here, and we don't really know how to write daijobu, right? Genki as meaning healthy can be used. So Tanaka, not Yama, Tanaka-san wa genki desu. Yamakawa-san wa genki janai desu, right? 3番、日本人の男の人と女の人と山に行きました、right? So we can use 男の人, we can use 女の人, right? And that is fine, and it's good to know those words, but pretty soon I think there are more polite ways to refer to people of different genders. 火曜日に友達とコーヒーを飲みました。We haven't really learned tomodachi in kanji yet. That's why there's the furigana on top of it. 5番、水曜日に、what was it? うちで晩ご飯を食べました。それからテレビを見ました。Right? There's a couple of ways to say and then, right? それから、そして、those are all okay. はい。Okay, let me stop the screen share real quick and let's open up page 314 in the textbook. And I believe we had exercise B and C as homework. So let's look at exercise B. Eiga o mimasu. Which one is that? A through G.
That is F.
Very good. Kohi o nomimasu.
That would be E.
Seems good. Hamburger o tabemasu.
That would be B.
Otoko no hito to onna no hito ga imasu.
Otoko no hito to. I forgot. How do you say that? The woman kanji?
Onna.
Onna.
Onna no hito ga imasu.
Ima desu. D.
はい。山と川があります。
I think that's C, right?
Yep. 今日はいい天気です。
いい天気です. Today, that's good weather. So it's A.
Yeah. Because, through exclusion. I mean, could apply to everything else, really, but yeah, the sun is shining, so hey, it's good weather. Ginku ni ikimasu.
G.
Very good. Hey, okay, looking at C. Ichiban, we have what?
I think that's Itsuka.
Right? Itsuka is 5 days. We have the kanji for 1 and the kanji for day, right? So it is.
Oh, man. Okay, so I gotta look this up then. Oh, I didn't know that this was a reference here. So this is 5 days. Does that mean that it's?
No. Yeah. Itsuka is 5 days. You said Itsuka
I'm sorry.
earlier.
I'm sorry. So number one is Ichi. I think it's Ichi ni, but
1 day is Tsuitachi. No? So if we look at
yeah. But how do you know what the kanji is?
the one stroke.
Yeah, but then like when you add it with the, I don't even know what to call it.
Okay. Okay. 1 second then. Okay. So one of the first kanji, if not the first one we learned, was this one, right?
Yeah, call it the double pane window. Oh yeah, the one stroke.
And we learned this by itself as ichi, right? But
Yeah.
in combination with something like this, which we also learned, right? We know the meaning is pretty simple, which is either the duration of a day or the first of a month, right?
Yeah.
What we don't know, or what this exercise is asking essentially, is the reading of this kanji compound. And right, so there we have a couple of options: Itsuka, Kokunoka, Tsuitachi. Oh, Tsuitachi, right? And now if I look at page 127,
Yeah.
right, we see, and that was also in the slides of last week's lessons, we have the first of any given month, right? It would be Tsuitachi. So there on this list, we have the numbers in Arabic numerals, right? So we don't have this, but we have 1, right? And then essentially they, you can also see that these are equivalent.
Right.
Right. So the same would be, for example, for this one, which is ni, right?
Yeah.
And this is the same. Sometimes in Japanese, or quite often actually, to be honest. But you see both variants. You see the combination of Arabic numeral and kanji, but then also you see just sometimes the version up here, right?
Okay.
In both cases, the reading is the same, right? Here it's futsuka, and you can see that on said page, either in last week's slides or on page 127. So I guess it doesn't really matter like which like the actual exercise, but it asks essentially the different readings from the days, the first day through, was it the 10th? So we have 1 through 10, and then we have also the 20th day, right? So essentially, the first Tsuitachi,
Yep.
Futsuka, and so on.
Yeah.
Mika, Hyokka, Itsuka, Muika, Nanoka, Yoka, Kokonoka, Toka. Those are the days from 1 through 10. And then for 20, we have Hatsuka, right? We have another very special reading.
Hatsuka.
And, yeah. Okay, so that is fine. So my recommendation is just to look over these one more time in your leisure. And just like today and last week, I'm going to start the lesson by essentially asking, what is today's day, right? So you need to, the ones are pretty easy, but I don't know what next week will be, but what is it going to be? The 7th, I believe, right? So that's a special reading as well. We know Nana or Chi, right? But
Yeah.
for 7th day, for example, it's nanoka, right?
Okay.
Hai, daijoubu desu. So why don't we open up, since we're already on the page, let's flip the page to 128. And let's read the dialogue. Do you want to be Roberto-san or Misu no Hito? Dialogue 2.
I can be Roberto-san.
はい。じゃあ、お願いします。
いい天気ですね。
すみません。Dialogue 2.
Oh, sorry. すみません。この T シャツはこの T シャツはいくらですか？この T シャツは Oh, he's saying this T-shirt. How much is it?
Exactly. And I say 1800円です。
1800円です。That's 1,000. 100. Oh, it's 1,100 yen, which is like
1800, yeah. 1,800, you said.
Right, because it's a special.
800.
Which is $18 T-shirt.
Yeah, about $18 right now.
Okay. L さ、サイズがありますか？
はい、ありますよ。
はい、ありますよ。じゃあ、L サイズを2枚ください。
Very good.
I'm trying to figure out what that last sentence says. So, wow.
Yeah, we don't know nimai yet. It's a counter, but we know kudasai, right? So what would it mean to just say L saizu o kudasai?
An L size, please.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And we'll cover nimai in later today. But let's move on to dialogue 3.
Okay.
So I'm going to be Takeshi-san.
Okay.
So, おばあとさん、旅行は楽しかったですか？
沖縄の海はすごくきれいでしたよ。
よかったですね。僕も海が大好きです。ホテルは高かったですか？
いいえ、あまり高くなかったです。これ、お土産です。
ありがと
う。たけしさんのデートはどうでしたか？
Very good. Very good. One thing to point out, which we will not, it's not really a grammar point, but if you go on a trip, right, it's customary to bring a souvenir bag.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I learned about that. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like a way to sorry I bailed on you.
And yeah, there's very like every town, every region has their own specialties. So it's yeah, I guess it's nice. Cool. All right, so let's go back into the slides. So what we are going to cover now is the E adjectives and the past tense. We have tanoshikatta desu ka? So in dialogue 3, right, Takeshi-san asks, Obato-san, yoko wa tanushikatta desu ka? Which means, hey, Robert, was the trip enjoyable? Was it fun? Right? Tanushikatta desu ka? Was it fun? And this comes from tanoshi, right? Tanoshi, and then e as well. Finally, right? So, is it fun would mean tanoshi desu ka, right? For the past tense, we have tanushikatta desu ka. Another example is for the e adjectives, because Robert, Takeshi-san asked about the price of the hotel, right? So we have hoteru wa takakatta desu ka? So was it expensive, right? And Robert says, iie, ammari takakuna-katta desu. That means it wasn't so expensive, right? Ammari kind of is a mild negation in a sense, right? So takakuna-katta desu just means it wasn't expensive. The amari kind of adds the so here, right? So those are examples of e adjectives. Now, let's identify the pattern here using actually the list from the homework. But in this case, I replace the non-past and with the past. So for large, we know we have oki, right? We have that e at the end. So oki. The past affirmative becomes okikatta desu. By the way, this is of course formal. Spoiler, to make it past informal, you would just drop the des. So it would be just okikatta by itself. For the negative, we have okikunakatta desu. For expensive, we have takai, right, which is our dictionary form. An example, we already know takakatta desu is the past affirmative. Past negative is takakunakatta desu. We have kowai for frightening, which becomes in the past affirmative kowakatta desu. And the past negative kowakunakatta desu. So what's happening here is that to render the past affirmative of e adjectives, we drop the e and add or replace the e with katta desu. For the past negative, we drop the e of the dictionary form and replace that with kunakatta desu. So let's move on. Interesting. We have omoshiroi. Past affirmative is omoshirokatta desu. And in the past negative, omoshirokunakatta desu. Old, furui, furukatta desu, furukunakatta desu. And good is our irregular e adjective. We have e as the dictionary form. The past affirmative also, just like the non-past negative, refers or uses the older dictionary form, which is yoi. So in the past affirmative of e and yoi would be yokatta desu, right? It was good. The past negative, it wasn't good. Yokunakatta desu, right? And of course, there are also alternatives. So, for example, instead of omoshirokunakatta desu, we can say something like omoshiroku arimasen deshita, right? So, which is very similar to alternatives that we learned before. So the rule here to conjugate into the past affirmative formal of e adjectives, we drop the e and attach katta desu. For the past negative, we drop the e and attach kunakatta desu. So those are the rules for adjective conjugation for past tense. Next, let's move on to the na adjectives. They are in some ways easier, in some ways not so much. But we have an example from the dialogue. We have Okinawa no umi wa sugoku kirei deshita. Right? The sea was very beautiful in Okinawa. That's actually how Genki translates it as well. So let's look at our homework and or use the adjectives from our previous homework and look at our, instead of our non-past, let's look at the past affirmative and past negative. So we already know, based on our example for that a long time ago, Sasuke hated Itachi, right? Mukashi Sasuke-kun wa Itachi-san ga kirai deshita, right? He was disgusted, I guess. He hated him, right? Or dai kirai deshita, right? So the past affirmative, yeah, we have our dictionary form without the na and attached deshita, right? So Shizuka na becomes Shizuka deshita. Beautiful, kirei na becomes kirei deshita. Healthy, was healthy, right? Genki deshita. Was fond of. Ski deshita. Hated or was disgusted of. Kirai deshita. Was lively, as in a town was lively. Nigiyaka deshita. Okay. So the past negative looks a little bit more complicated, unfortunately. So we have still our dictionary form without the na, and then we have janakatta desu. And you can think of this as, well, we have janai, right? We have janai desu, for example, in the non-past. And the e here is just replaced by katta, just like the e adjectives. Maybe it helps you, maybe not. If this explanation doesn't help you, just remember, well, just attach janakatta desu, right? So for quiet, we have Shizuka janakatta desu for it wasn't quiet, it wasn't beautiful. Kirei janakatta desu, wasn't healthy. Genki janakatta desu, wasn't fond of. Ski janakatta desu, disgusted of, or was not disgusted of. Kirai janakatta desu, and wasn't lively. Nigiyaka janakatta desu. And of course, we have here alternative forms as well, just like the nouns in the copula, right? So we can say, for example, Shizuka ja arimasen deshita, etc. Right? We can use that as well, but it is very important to know these forms as well. Yeah. Cool. So nice. Thumbs up is always encouraging. So let's look at page 140. And let's do exercise A. So here, let's just change the following adjectives into the past affirmative. So as examples, we have an E adjective, which is takai, right? So remember to replace the E with katta desu. So takai becomes takakatta desu. And for na adjectives, there's a example here, genki na, right? The past affirmative here is genki deshita. Right. So how would you conjugate yasui?
Yasukata desu.
And that means what?
I don't actually.
Takai is expensive, right?
Oh, this one is like inexpensive. Sorry.
Yeah, inexpensive, cheap.
So
Inexpensive.
It's not as cheap, like as in quality.
It's not in quality. It refers usually to price.
Okay.
So yeah, so inexpensive is actually a very nice translation. Hey. 2番、Atsui.
Atsu kata desu. you want to do the negative too?
We do that afterwards.
Okay.
That's fine.
And then sanban,
Mm-hmm.
samu, samukatta desu.
Mm-hmm.
Omoshirokatta desu.
Hey, go on.
5番, sumaran na. So that one's going to be sumara deshita.
Tsumaranai is also an E adjective.
Oh, okay, I totally got messed up. Sumana katta desu.
Hai, tsumaranakatta desu. Hai. And tsumaranai means what?
Wakaranai.
What does omoshiroi mean?
Interesting.
Uh-huh.
This
Very
means
good.
this means boring, I guess.
Yep. Very good. Rokuban, isukashi.
Izuka shikatta desu.
Isukashi katta desu. Was busy. Hai, nanaban.
Tanoshikatta desu.
Very good. It was fun. Hachiban. E.
Irregular verb yokatta desu.
Very good. Hai. Shizukana.
Shizuka na deshita.
Close. So it is a na adjective, and deshta is correct, but here we drop the na, right? Just like in the example, we have genki na, and it becomes genki deshta. So for shizuka na,
Shizuka
very
deshita.
good. Very good. Shizuka deshita. Hai. 10番、にぎやかな。
Nigiyaka deshita.
Very good. きれいな。
Kirei deshita.
And 暇な。
Hima deshita.
And hima means what?
Not busy.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
doesn't-
yeah, not busy, free. Yeah, free time. Yeah. It's kind of weird to translate, but it has the meaning of being free, being available. Yeah. Yeah. Hi. Okay, now let's move on to exercise B and conjugate the adjectives into the past negative. So as examples, we have yasui, which becomes yasuku nakatta desu. And for na adjectives like himana, we have hima janakatta desu. Hai. 一番高い。
Takakunakatta desu.
Very good. 楽しい。
Tanoshikunakatta desu.
Yeah, it wasn't fun. I hope you don't say that after this class. 優しい。
Yasashikunakatta desu.
はい。つまらない。
Sumaranakunakatta desu.
はい。大きい。
Okikunakatta desu.
Very good. いい。
Ikunakatta desu. Did you still say yoku? Okay, so yoku yoku kunakatta desu.
よくなかったです。
Wait, so there's two kus?
ね、よくなかったです。
Okay, so just the one.
はい。よくなかったです。So E really just stays E in the non-past affirmative. Everything else you would use the dictionary form yoi and conjugate with that.
Okay. Yoi.
はい。7番、忙しい。
Izukashi kunakatta desu.
Very good. かっこいい。
Kakui kunakatta desu.
Very good. Yeah, it's not like some people make the mistake. They see kako and then e, and then it's like, oh, I know e becomes yoku nukatta, and then no, it's not like that. So very good. はい、にぎやかな。
Nigiyaka. Nigiyaka. Janakatta desu.
It wasn't lively. 静かな。
Shizuka janakatta desu.
はい。綺麗な。
Kirei janakatta desu.
Very good. And 元気な。
Genki janakatta desu.
Very good. Okay, cool. I'm going to share slides again. Okay, so we got that. Okay, so that was the conjugation of noun adjectives. There's going to be some homework to practice that some more. Depending on our time later, maybe we do actually some more practice on that. But now let's move on to the last grammar point, actually. Right? You identified correctly. Oh, you don't know what this means in dialogue too, right? You have L size o nimai kudasai, right? So you knew everything except this nimai. What is nimai, right? And this is another counter, right? So this means essentially two large flat objects, please, right? So so mai refers to like sheets of paper, flat objects, like thin flat objects, also t-shirts. You use the counter mai. So that is when, you know, Katention sensei introduced like, oh, counting is easy. And I was like, yeah, counting is one of the most difficult things in Japanese, I believe, because it's like, oh, which counter am I using here? It has a lot of different counters, and since the language reform, my understanding is it has been simplified, but there's still so many counters, and we just learn them as we go. But there is also a, I guess, generic pattern that is interesting here, right? So let's look at this pattern here, which is essentially, okay, there's something, then you talk about the item, the actual item, for example, the t-shirt, right? Then you have some particle, then you have actually the number, and then the correct counter, and then you have something else, right? So this is one of the patterns where counters are actually used here. So the example that Genki actually has is Lee-san wa t-shirts o sanmai kaimashita, which means Lee bought 3 t-shirts, right? So we have something here, right? Then we have the item t-shirtsu. Then we have a particle o in this case, and then number san counter mai, and then the rest of the sentence, which is kaimashita, right? And of course, the particle here is determined what is the rest of the, or is determined by what's the rest of the sentence, right? To give you another example, this came up in a previous lesson, right? Watashi wa neko ga 2 hiki imasu. As for me, there are 2 cats, meaning I have 2 cats, right? So we have our item. In this instance, we have the particle ga, and then 2 hiki imasu. So the important part here is to, when we make sentences like these, to have the item, the particle, and then the number and the counter, right? There are instances where, in fact, the number becomes or comes before the item, but those are more like complex sentences. For the kind of sentence patterns that we have learned so far, the order is, in fact, item, particle, number, counter. And then there is luckily also a pretty generic counter, right? So we can, for example, when we order, we can say okonomiyaki o futatsu o onegai shimasu, right? So you have hitotsu, futatsu, mitsu, and so on. This tsu counter is a pretty generic one. So when in doubt, you get away with that. um, and so there's a great reference on pages 380 and 381. I say great. It's useful. It's probably not the best I've seen, or maybe it is. I should really try to find a good counter chart, right? So there you can see, okay, the different counters, right? Mai, for example, is in the first column, right? We have do, Mai. Mai is, well, it says sheets here, but you know, it also applies to t-shirts. Then do, ju, man, etc. Right? And then so the way it works, right? And I think it becomes more obvious if you actually know how to come up with those numbers in combination with counters, right? So we have, for example, when we say one sheet of or whatever, right? We can look at the number one, right? It says ichi in this column, so it's ichi mai. And then so on, nimai, sanmai, yonmai, gomai, okumai, nanamai, hachimai, kyumai, jiumai, and then also how many sheets would be nanmai, right? And the same, so the same counting pattern, so the same numbers we use for do. In the next column to the right, we have gatsu, right, for which month, right? So nothing is in the cells for 1, 2, and 3, right? So it's going to be regular. It's ichi, because we know it's ichigatsu, nigatsu, sangatsu, right? But then we also know, based on our other chart on page 127, for example, April, the 4th month, it says shigatsu, right? And this is also present here on this chart on page 380 because it says shi in the column for month, for gatsu. So it would be shigatsu. And then May again, there's nothing in there, so it would be gogatsu, and so on. Rokugatsu for July, the 7th month, right? We don't say nanagatsu, we say shichigatsu. And then another exception here is for September, the 9th month, we don't say kyugatsu, but kugatsu. And this is also present in this table here. So this is a good reference, right? I certainly don't know all of them. But for example, you know, we talk a lot about o'clock or hours, right? So that's in there. We're going to talk more about minutes, but also for yen, for people. So it's a very good reference in that regards, that it's, at least it gives you an idea. Let me actually, yeah. And then, so in later lessons, we go over, again, for the counters for people, right? But also for books, for stick-like objects, and a couple of more things. So, and that was essentially it on the grammar point, right? So yeah, important to remember just the pattern here. There's actually not any good exercises, I believe, on this one here, if I remember correctly. Cool. All right, ready for some kanji?
Oh, sure. Wait, real quick question for clarification. Yeah. So when you'd say, look at the counters, clock, use G, and then for hours, use G-con?
Yeah, and that's why, I mean, I said great first, and I was like, it's not that great. Because for G-con, right, ichijikan, we know the duration of 1 hour. If we say 1 o'clock, it's ichiji, right, 1 o'clock. Yeah. But if we do something for 1 hour, we say ichijikan, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's why some of them are very confusing, like the description.
When you say something like Jikan desu, I always understood it to be it's time.
Oh yeah, it is, because that's what it means. Jikan desu, it's time, right? But yeah, if you use it as a counter, like ichijikan, this. It is the duration of 1 hour. Huh? I need more context here.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi. Very good. Okay. And books, for example, also has its counter. The satsu would be satsu. I really actually let me try. I really like how the way the kanji looks like. There we go. Let me move this over. So this is the counter for books, satsu. Doesn't it look awesome?
Yeah, it reminds me of an Akatsuki member.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it reminds me of the creepy Ten Tails, kind of like the teeth.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. It just
Yeah, because for me, I see like totally the books lined up here.
Oh, that is so cool.
And
Yeah.
then, but yeah, maybe. Cool. All right, cool. There's a little bit of a change. Oh, did I close? Sorry, I closed the wrong thing right now. What I wanted to say is there's a little bit of a change in the slides this week. So what Genki does is they put the onyomi also in hiragana, right? But most dictionaries, including Jisho, have the onyomi in katakana, right? So that's what I started with today's lesson as well. I put the common onyomi readings in katakana, right? It also makes it easier for me to see sometimes if I were to make a mistake. For example, if I just only want to introduce the kunyomi or onyomi and I have everything in hiragana, but then I might, it's easier for me to change what comes before it. So if I say kunyomi, for example, and have it in the hiragana, that's fine, right? But if I only have one line and I have, like, for example, the katakana and it still says kunyomi, I know, oh, this is actually the onyomi. So it makes it easier for me to spot mistakes as well.
Oh, okay.
So and plus, yeah, it's more common in other dictionaries.
It doesn't mean that it's a loner word, right? Just the way to differentiate.
Correct. Yes. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So kuchi, very easy. Just a box, right? So, all right. So this is kuchi by itself. But another, we can also form another very interesting word that's useful for newspapers or articles, right? This one. So we have people and mouth is population. And this would be using Jin Ko, right? So we know person by itself, Hito, right? We know Nin, but also Jin as in Nihon Jin, right? And combination with Kuchi, this becomes Jin Ko, and this means population. Okay. Today we also cover the directions east, west, south, north. So first we have Higashi, right, which is east.
In Japanese.
Huh?
I just bought a Japanese compass from Daiso.
Oh, nice. I've never seen one. So
let me go grab it.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, it's still in its packaging. Nice. Okay. Oh, nice. Nishi, Kita. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. So you'll be able to read all of those. Great.
Yeah, I started looking it up. I was like, oh, which one's north?
Yeah. Okay. We are actually starting with east here. So Higashi. Higashi. So this by itself is Higashi, right? And also this is gonna keep the kuniomi reading when we put the mouth in here as well. So we have. So this would be still Higashi. And we have kuchi, but here we have the tenten. So instead of higashi kuchi, we say higashi guchi, which means east exit. Right? And common onyomi reading is to, as in Tokyo, the east capital. But we won't be learning Kyo today. So we won't be learning Kyo today. That's a pun, so meta. But we'll pick this up again. Actually, there's going to be another reading where we use toll. But let's go with next west, which is Nishi. Nishi, and then of course, same thing. We have Nishi, and we would have Nishiguchi for west exit as well. Let's do south next, Minami, which is just a little bit more complex. Oops, this is going to be a little small. Oh gosh, I need to practice writing more. Close enough. So that by itself is Minami. And then Southeast Asia, we would actually write Tonan Asia. So we do actually write east and then south in that order. So let's do that real quick. We have our Higashi. So here, this would be To. This is then Nan. And then G. Tonan Asia, Southeast Asia. So East South Asia. Or in actually in Kimetsu no Yaiba, one of the first, so in Demon Slayer, the crow says Nannanto, Nannanto. So south, southeast. So it'll be a little bit more clear on the direction where they're headed. So
Right where you said Kimetsu no Yaiba, I was like, Demon Slayer?
yeah, exactly. Very nice. I'm rewatching it right now.
Oh yeah, that's all you can do until the movie released.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that. I hope they release it on Google Play or something so I can buy it there. Okay. Another change, by the way, I made here is that in the frame title of this thing, before I only put like a rough English equivalent, I also put the typed kanji because in Kita, you see that here as well, the typed kanji is a little bit different than the handwritten one. Right? So I figured I'm gonna have both in here. Just put this here. So this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strokes. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Kind of like that. This is horrible. But key close enough. That's why I have the slides there. And then again, like Kitaguchi for north exit as well. All right. But luckily you have a compass. So you have all of these kanji, words, except for Gucci, on there, much nicer. You have some space. And then the question came up today, like what is to go out, right? We have dekakeru. And actually, so this is a super useful kanji. We have the onyomi reading generally is like shutsu or shu with a small su at the end. But shutsu. Kunyomi reading are commonly de or da, as in omoide, deu, but also dasu, deguchi, etc. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So we have, for example, this one would be deu, to leave, but it's also, for example, it can be used as a directional verb, just like iku or ku, right? So you could say yoko ni deru, which means really to leave for a trip, right? Another one would be, for example, exit, right? Not specifying which direction, but it would be deguchi. Right? And then also, just like there over here, to go out, we would have the kakeru. To go out. The kanji here then also has the reading of de. Dasu would be to take something out, but actually it often comes. You use dasu also when you actually make a deposit on a bank. So, and then I think the last one, it's fun, bun, pun, but also wakau, wakeu, has meanings of like a part, but also use it in minute as a counter for minutes. It can be just a segment, like a part again, but it can also be used in wakaru, to understand, and has 4 strokes. Like wakaru, karimasu ka? And then other one, for example, let's see. This would be go fun. 5 minutes. And that is it. So real quick, homework. Let me check real quick. So I put it, so page 52 is filling in the conjugation table below. So present affirmative, present negative, and then non-past affirmative negative. sorry, non-past affirmative, non-past negative, and then past affirmative and past negative. What else? Page 53, numeral 2 is again some translation. Page 57 is just answering some questions regarding your best trip. Also, more questions around preferences and dislikes. Let's see. Then page 58 is a listening comprehension exercise, which would be useful for like the JLPT. Many people struggle with that. Page 139 is just for you. The kanji of this week and the previous week. And then in the textbook, which is kind of like a reading comprehension exercise. So we have in the textbook on page 315, number B, it's a post, a social media post. And there you have to read it and essentially check what statements written in English are true or false. And then the last exercise would be reading a postcard that Roberto-san wrote his former host mother. And there are a couple of questions in Japanese and answer them in free form as well. So that is that. And what I'd like for you to do in preparation for the next class is learn the vocabulary for chapter 6, which is on page 148 and 149. And then also read and or listen to all of the chapters dialogues. There's again 3 dialogues on the previous pages, 146 and 147. Cool. All right, so that is that. By the way, the JLPT will be held at Cal State LA if it happens. I'm pretty confident by that time people or things will have are safer.
What month did you say it's happening? December?
Yeah, December 5th.
Okay. So we got time.
And I think registration opens in August or September usually, so late summer.
Do you know what the duration is?
Pardon?
Do you know how long the duration of the exam is?
Oh, how long was that? It's a couple of hours. It's like I would say 3 hours. So there are is there breaks? There were breaks in between.
Kind of like taking the SATs or something.
I've never taken the SAT.
Nice. That's right. That's right. Yeah, proper European childhood.
Well, that's a discussion for another time, but my path to academic excellence was a little bit different.
Nice.
Yeah. It's probably at King's Hall again. Okay. But, well, we still have time. So if you like, we can do some more exercises.
Okay.
Yeah? Do you want to do some more exercises?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's open up the textbook. Again, on page 140. We did A and B.
Gosh.
Right? Okay, so we have a little memo, right? So let's make sentences. An example here is, so we have Okinawa, which is the topic, right? And the adjective is hot. But it was a trip to Okinawa, so we have to conjugate it into the past tense, right? So Okinawa was hot. And the example sentence actually says here, Okinawa wa atsukatta desu, right? So how would you say that the food was not expensive?
How do you say food? Do you just call it Gohan?
Yeah, you can say Gohan. I think it was this lesson or the one before that also introduced tabemono.
食べ物は高いくなかったです。
Yeah, close, right? So drop the E, right?
高くなかったです。あ、
Very good. Tabemono wa takaku nakatta desu. Very good. It was also delicious, or food was delicious.
wait, 食べ物, does that mean,
Yeah, tabemono is food.
but does it translate to like something you eat?
Yep,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
Just like, so tabemono, we have nomimono, right? Something to drink or beverages. We have norimono. We don't know noru yet, but that is a thing you ride on. So a vehicle. Yeah, so that mono we have a lot.
Okay. So 食べ物は美味しいです。
And what is the food was delicious?
That would be 美味しくなかったです。
It wasn't delicious.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have to do affirmative.
Yep.
So 美味しい美味しかったです。
Oishikatta desu. Very good. The hotel was not big.
I forgot how to say hotel.
Hoteru.
That's a longer word. ホテルは、oh, no, that's a different adjective. Let's look up how to say big.
Big is what? Oki.
Oh man, I thought it was that, but then I second guessed myself. Hoteru wa okiku nakatta desu.
Very good. The hotel was new.
Hoteru wa new. Atarashi.
Yeah.
Katta desu.
Atarashikatta desu. Very good. The restaurant was not quiet.
Restaurant wa shizuka kuna. Oh no, sorry. Shizuka janakatta desu.
Very good. Shizukacha nakatta desu. Hi. It's an adjective. That's why you use janakatta desu. Very good. The sea was beautiful.
Oh, you corrected me on this. I have to learn from my mistakes.
Oh, the sea? Yeah, sea was umi. Yeah, use kaio. It's like the ocean.
You're saying I should
but,
use kaio?
Yeah, umi is.
You're saying
You use kaio, right?
yeah, you're saying that I should use umi?
Umi is easier.
Umi wa kirei. That's a non-adjective. So it would be kirei. Kirei deshita.
Kie deshita, yeah. Yeah, kie is a little tricky, right? Because kie ends on e as well, right? But it is not adjective. It's kirei, no? So, umi wa kiei deshita. The sea was beautiful. Very good.
Yeah, secret member's got the secret one.
What secret?
The secret. No, sorry, I'm getting like spam texts from people. It's so annoying.
Well, it's not okay that the people are spamming you.
I know, but look, there's nothing I can do about it because like you can't filter spam texts.
Yeah.
So if they have your number, you're just stuck.
Yep. Surfing was fun.
Surfing wa tanoshi. How do you? Let me look at my notes.
Yeah, it is tanoshi. That is the dictionary form. Yeah.
Then I have to translate it. So it's an e verb, and that means I have to do tanoshi deshita.
Yeah, e adjectives.
Tanoshi kata desu.
Hi, surfing wa tanushikatta desu. Very good.
Wow. Well, I can't believe it. I did it.
Yeah, that's good. Do you have energy for one more exercise? Okay, let's go to the next page, 141, D. So let's see. So went to Okinawa. Okay, so I'm gonna take on B, right? So let's read the example. はいどうぞ。
休みに沖縄に行きました。
そうですか？どうでしたか？
どうです。とても暑かったです。暑かったです。
Yeah, とっても means a lot, right? So it was very, very hot, right?
とっても暑かったです。
はい。わかりますか？
I think so. So Yasumi, that means yes.
Yeah, so Yasumi means kind of like break, right? So in this case, so you went on a vacation during your break, right? Either that be a term break at college or during your vacation. So Yasumi, rest, break, that kind of. So yeah. So at the time, so you can think of this ni here actually at the time of as a time marking particle ni, right? So just like we say ichiji ni, like at 1 o'clock, right? Or you can also say yasumi ni for like for the vacation or during vacation time, essentially.
Oh, okay.
Hai.
Okay, I get it.
Hai, ichiban.
So, I mean, do I have to designate a time for this one?
No, so you can just say yasumi ni, and then so essentially replace the underlying parts, right? So it's gonna be yasumi ni, and then here you saw a movie, right?
So this one will be mi eiga wa mimashita.
映画を見ましたな。はい。そうですか？どうでしたか？
So I want to respond with it was scary, right?
It was scary.
What does totemo mean again?
Totemo is very, very, right? So you don't have to use totemo here because it was just scary and not very scary.
Okay,
so you can ignore the totemo for this.
So I can just say kowai kata desu.
Kowakatta desu. You dropped the E.
Yeah.
Very good. Kowakatta desu. はい。2番。
Sorry, just 1 second. I just gotta make sure my cat's not eating something she's not supposed to.
はい、大丈夫です。
2番 stayed at home うちにいるうちに so 休みにうちにいるyou're muted.
Oh, sorry, yeah, so you know, it's ichidan doshi, right? So for example, like neko ga imasu, right? There's a cat, right? So
Yeah.
it conjugates as a ichidan doshi.
いる so 休みにうちにあります。
Yeah. You're a living thing. Iru.
いる Wait, I'm sorry, one more time.
Yeah, you're a living thing. I heard you said ari.
Oh, right, because that's for inanimate objects.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what do I say?
Yeah, so you conjugate the iru into the past tense affirmative.
Past tense. Okay, so iru would be imas.
Imas is non-past, right, or present tense.
Yeah. So
but
then,
you stayed at home.
imashita.
Very good. Yasumi ni uchi ni imashita. Very good. So desu ka? Dou deshita ka?
Very boring. Let's see. I have that here. So sumarai. So I drop the e and then I add. Okay. Sumaranakatta desu.
Yeah, tsumaranakatta desu, right? Or very boring would be tottemo tsumaranakatta desu. Very good.
Okay.
Hey, let's do one more. Sanban went to a party and it was not fun.
Okay, so yasumi ni party o ikimashita.
Yeah, for iku, you use it's a directional verb, right? So instead of using we use ni here, right?
Oh, okay.
So yasumi ni party.
Party ni ikimashita.
Very good. Yep. Party ni ikimashita. Very good. So desu ka? Dou deshita ka?
So I can say that it was. I can use the negative form of fun, right?
Yes.
And say not fun. So fun is a tanoshi, and then if I were to negate that, tanoshi. Oh, I'm so close. Tanoshiku nakatta desu.
Very good. Tanoshiku nakatta desu.
I did it.
Pachi.
Holy shit. That was really complicated.
Okay, one more.
Okay.
Went to a restaurant and it was not delicious.
Okay. Yasumi ni restaurant ni ikimashita.
So desu ka? Dou deshita ka?
おいしくなかったです。
そうですか? Coronavirus desu ka?
What is it? Coronavirus?
What's your taste of smell? Your sense of taste. 大変ですね。はい、very good. パチ。終わりです。